Listen, I lost the Beach Boys that way. Yeah. Oh boy, thanks very much. Okay, now we're set. Yeah, I've really been bad at that a couple of times. Well, now I heard.
What is this? What is it?
Yeah. I heard you. I guess the first time I heard you was a live performance. You were very, very young. Was that the first? And I'm trying to. My mind is so bad on names of songs and things.
Fingertips?
Fingertips, right.
Fingertips was not my first record. Fingertips was my fourth record.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was all of this was recorded by accident. I never thought it would be a single. We did the Fingertips at the Regal Theater in Chicago, and I was part of the Motown Review, which was the package that Motown sent out every year. They stopped sending. I guess the last Motown Review was in '65.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have maybe a Motown package or a package with the Supremes, the Gladys Knight and the Pips, and maybe Willie Tyler, or maybe the Temptations, and something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did you start with Motown in the first place? How did you begin with them?
I was introduced to Motown by Ronnie White, who was one of the background singers of Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie auditioned me, and then called on the talent scout at this particular time, Brian Holland. Guess on a lot of the Supremes records you've seen Holland Do As Your Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, at this particular time, when I came to Motown in 1960, was the talent scout, and he did a lot of the mastering for Motown, for the records.
Mm-hmm.
And he did some writing, but not as much as he's doing now.
How long had you been performing before that? Before you signed with Motown?
You wouldn't really call it performing. On doorsteps, porches, backyards,
mm-hmm.
alleys. No, I did a lot of work in church. As a matter of fact, when I was 9 years old, I was a little deacon in church.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the learning to play the instrument? How old were you when you started playing?
Well, I first remember me playing the harmonica. And it was those little harmonicas they have on the keychain,
Mm-hmm.
and I played that when I was about 3 or 4. I must have been about 3 or 4 years old. I remember in a barber shop, I was getting my hair cut, and I was afraid, so the guy gave me a harmonica to pacify me. Shut up, cool it. And so I played, not really, I wouldn't call it playing, just breathing in and out, because I really didn't know what I was doing. After this, I started playing the piano. Actually, to sum it up, it would be a gift from God, because I never had any lessons or anything of that sort,
mm-hmm.
until starting in elementary school, and that wasn't really that much lessons, because the teacher that we had only came once a week, and there were so many children in the class that it was hard for him to get to me.
Mm-hmm. I just wondered if
you just can't learn, kid. You just can't learn.
I was wondering if you'd been encouraged by anybody, or whether you just kind of did this on your own because you wanted to play.
Well, my mother told me that she dreamed even before I was born that she had a child that was a musician. She's always wanted a musician, and so I guess that you can call me something like that. I try to be.
No, you are. Has she been pleased with your success?
I believe so.
I'm sure she must be.
If you make this record a hit, kid, I'll bake you a cake.
How many cakes have you got?
I must admit, I've always admired Ray Charles. Ray Charles has, I think, done a lot for the music world. Also, Fats Domino. I mean, all the greats. I admire the Beatles. To get current, the Beatles for their writing ability.
Mm-hmm.
I think their new style is actually fantastic. you have to really listen and interpret what they're saying lyrically, not just musically.
The sound that we hear so much about, of course, the Motown sound, and we've been trying very desperately to find out kind of what it is, and I get a different answer from almost everybody that I've talked with. I don't believe there's any term in the music business right now that evokes so many different responses, even among the Motown artists that I've talked to. What do you think it's all about?
The Motown sound, I guess you heard some of the artists say the sound of young America. But I must even go further than that by saying it's also the sound of Detroit. I say the Negro people in Detroit, the style. It's also a combination of pop and R&B. But a lot of the sound is due to the musicians. I think even the greatest credit should be given to the musicians because they started the sound. People like Benny Benjamin, who's a drummer on most of the Motown songs, and James Jamerson, and Earl Jones, and Earl Van Dyke, and the writers also are very important. But the musicians are, I must say, the basics. They really get it going, the beat. The same with Atlantic or Stack. You've got the musicians that really bring out the style or the form.
Could you give me an idea now of how you work, say, from the first time you get a song, and what kind of work would go into the production of a single record from the artist standpoint?
Well, I usually come up with the idea, the melody, and the music pattern. It's changed fantastically. But usually I come up with the pattern. I can't write any lyrics at all. It's just something I just can't do. I might come with a punchline, but as far as the lyrics, forget that immediately. I put it on tape usually, and I'll give it to Hank Cosby. Hank Cosby is my producer, and Hank tries to get it together. Take out that, put in that, do away with that. As a matter of fact, do away with the song. No. He sort of changes it. And Sylvia Moy, who is a lyricist, tries to finish up my unfinished punchline or lyrics. I might say a word here and another word there, and nothing really you can really go by. Punchlines is about all that I can give. Like, everything's alright, uptight, or I was made to love, or give the idea. And give it to Sylvia and Hank. They got it.
And what comes after that, then? How much time do you usually spend in it?
Oh, after that we cut it. And usually we do a lead on the session and then we dub it in again because the lyrics may be changed somewhat. Actually, a few of my records have had mistakes in it. I mean, like I was meant to please her, Stevie ain't gonna leave her, but that wasn't one of the original words. She didn't write that.
It just happened.
Ad-lib.
And you just decided to leave it in?
And the middle part of I was meant to love, all through thick and thin, our love just went in. I just thought of that because they said, the words, here we go, what we gonna do? So I just, did the all through thick and thin, our love just went in, I love my baby.
Listen, of all the things that you've done, which right now stands up, or which of them, one or two or a few, that you really still prefer of everything that you've done?
I was made to love her because it's a true song.
Personal song? I always liked the way you did "Blowing in the Wind" too. I thought that was it. How did you happen to do that?
"Blowing in the Wind." Clarence Paul, who's now in Los Angeles working with Venture Records, Mickey Stevens, Kim Weston. Clarence, for a long time, was my musical director, and we got a lot of these things together on the road as we went along. "Blowing in the Wind" is always I've always enjoyed. We did a cut on this song about 6 years ago. It was never released. Temptations backed me up on it.
Mm.
But the song itself, the lyrics, fantastic. Bob Dylan's very fantastic lyricist, as we all know.
Yeah. It was interesting when you brought Ray Charles up, because when I was talking with him, he kind of surprised me by saying he didn't really consider himself a songwriter at all. That he just felt he's been lucky that he writes every now and then when he has to, and he doesn't have the material, and that he was just lucky that most of them, hit.
Mm-hmm. I had the pleasure of meeting him a few times. Most recent time was when we were down in Atlanta for the services of Dr. Martin Luther King, and we had a little talk. It was a funny thing. I was on the bus. We were on this bus waiting, trying to go into the Ebenezer Baptist Church. I was in the back, so Bill Cosby comes and says, "Stevie," he says, "look, why'd they let you in the back of the bus, man?" He said, "Can't you hear the motor?" Ray didn't get in the back of the bus. We had a very fantastic time.